Well, don't I feel like an idiot? So, Amityville 3D, which is in this thing, but it's not. Came out in 1983, 1 year after the sequel, and, well, remember at the end of my last review, I said I was really, you know, excited to see how they would follow up the last one. Well, they didn't. Nope. This movie has nothing to do with either of the first films. Well, sort of. They mention the DeFeo family, but they don't mention the Lutzes, and they don't mention anything to do with the Montellis. Because there was a lawsuit between the Lutzes and producer Dino De Laurentiis, so nope, can't mention any of that. So this film comes out as a generic sequel just set inside the Amityville house. So I really wanted to see where they were going to go with that priest. I really wanted to know where they were going to go. And I'm not used to them going, Scotty, that was a prequel. Kind of, sort of, maybe not. Because while, you can take that and say, oh, that was the story of the DeFeos, but they couldn't use their name, so it was the Montellis. But also, you could say, I know they didn't mention either of the other two families, but they could say that was, like, a retelling. Like, it's the Montellis, it's a new family who suffered the same fate as the DeFeos. So, you could say that. But I digress. This film has nothing to do with that. We follow John, who is a professional debunker, finding fake psychics around the world, or wherever he can get to, and proclaiming them fake, because he doesn't believe in any of that hocus pocus. So he's in the Amityville house. You see him and his assistant. They're, at the seance thing. It turns out to be fake. They take pictures and stuff. And so he ends up buying the house from the realtor guy, real cheap, and moves in there. His daughter is Lori Laughlin. Not going to mention anything about her problems. But also her best friend is played by Meg Ryan. Hello, Meg. Shut up, Meg. But, yeah. Those are only two actors. Again, there's two actors. Each one has two actors so far. You have, the first one had James Brolin and Marco Kidder that I knew, right? I think there was a cameo from was that the first one, the cameo from James Tolkien? And, Murray Hamilton was in it too. From Jaws, James Tolkien and the other guy. And the last one had, Paulie and Diane Franklin. Now we have those two. If I sound tired, it's because I am. It's 1:45 in the morning, and I'm doing this review before I go Betty Buys. So if I'm a little out of it, that's why. I'm trying to get as many of these done this weekend as I can. So, so he moved into this house. His daughter gets her own room or whatever, but they're also like on the brink of divorce. Him and his wife. And, you know what? I didn't think this movie was terrible. It's just not, like, it comes up as one of those cheesy 80s horror films. And for being in 3D, I didn't notice anything that would stand out in 3D. Like, there's not that thing where they poke a thing where they're trying to adjust something and stick it right at the camera. Like say I had this and I was trying to, okay, let's see, how do I do that? Let's see. Something like that. Sticking the camera. I didn't see any of that. At least, I didn't see any of that stuff, so I don't understand that. Like, you got, like, other 3D movies that do it. Friday the 13th 3D came out the year before this. Did it. Arguably better, but, And by the climax of the film, it gets really weird. I think my one big complaint is that it's one of those situations where your main character is a skeptic. So no matter what you say to him, he's not going to believe it. When stuff starts going down, he doesn't believe it happened. Like the realtor ends up dead. His assistant tries to tell him that she saw something, like he had like he was, and he's like, oh, somebody has a stroke or a heart attack. But she tries to tell him the picture. His face is all distorted, which is the only. I thought that was going to be the hook. Like, oh, she's going to take pictures, and whoever's in the pictures, face all distorted, the next to die. That's literally the only one that goes that way. She tries to tell him, that he's like, no, there's nothing going on. She dies in a horrible incident where the car like explodes into flames, and she's like a burning skeleton. Real cool effect too. This homeless guy or whatever finds her, and then the car starts to flame. He thinks that was a car accident, and then his daughter Susan and her friends, they go into the house. They do a seance thing and say who's gonna die next, and it spells out Susan, and then she drowns in the lake outside by the house and stuff, or whatever, lake, ocean, river, whatever. And the weird thing is, like, the mom goes in and she sees Susan all drenched walking up the stairs, and then when she, she goes out, she goes, what's going on? And they find her body. He's like, no, she's not dead, she's alive, she's in the house. And he's like, no, that is your daughter. She goes, no, that's not my daughter. That's not my daughter. She's in the house. I saw her. And she just won't believe. She goes so far as to not even go to the funeral because she doesn't believe her daughter is dead. And we never get confirmation on that, really. We don't really know what happens with that, but she doesn't believe it. So John goes to his friend, Dr. West. No, it's not Herbert West. It's played by the guy who played Charlie in Land of the Dead. Although he could be a double for Jeffrey Combs, but he's not as good. And so they decide to do a paranormal investigation thing into the house, where they come across this weird purple blob floating thing, which is supposedly Susan. And it leads the mom to this well, which has a giant creature pop out of it, which we've never really seen before. We've seen weird eyes, but this creature pops out of it, and they're able to stop it. I almost said Charlie. Dr. West gets have his face burnt, which Charlie has have his face burnt in Land of the Dead. So is it the same character? Probably not. He gets taken into hell here. He dies, and then they have to get out, and the house fucking explodes. Yeah. So how was there more films then? The house explodes. It's gone. You see this radioactive fly out. But we never get an answer. Like, what happened? Is Susan dead? Did the little thing really hurt? They say, Susan, get out of here. And it flies away. So did it fly back to her body? Was she dead? Was she in a coma? If she wasn't dead, they would have said, oh, she's still alive. She's in a coma. And they had a funeral, so she go back to her buried. But it doesn't make any sense to me. And the acting is hokey at some points too. Like, there's so much hokey acting in this. It was Meg Ryan and Lori Loughlin's first movies. They're okay, but it's hokey acting. You could tell that, like, this is like a B movie. This is a B movie, and to act from the acting to the thing, it's not so bad. It's good. Believe me, not. It's just a cheesy horror movie from the '80s, which there was a lot of. So before I start saying this is so bad it's good, I'm not that far. I don't think it was that weird, that goofy, because there's a lot of boring points. Again, these movies have points where they're just talking, and you have this guy who's a skeptic. He's not believing anything. Even towards the end, he only allows the investigation so he can prove his wife wrong. That's his incentive. You prove her wrong. That's why he does it, and it ends up being for real. So I don't know. I did like the actor who played John, but meh. Not compared to the other. James Brolin was good, and even Paulie, and the guy who played Sonny, they were good, better than this guy. So it doesn't say because it's 2005. I was gonna look, but yeah. So I'll just say it's. I'll give it the middle of the road. I do, I do think the first one was better than this, but it's still a middle of the road. There's me. So now we are completely in the area of Tubi. I did watch the third one on Tubi because I had my phone sitting there. So I did watch this one on Tubi, but now up until I get to the remake and then Awakening, they're all on Tubi. And I get the remake, I have the DVD, obviously, and then Awakening is on YouTube. I'm trying, you know, and I'm not doing the Amityville Murders because that seems like a really cheaply made one, and it's just like a retelling of the DeFeos, which, and it seems really cheaply made. It doesn't seem like it's going to be in line with these, which I've seen glimpses of all these, and they look at least like they're decently made. That one looks like really cheap. So yeah, what are your thoughts on Amityville 3D? Let me know in the comments. Let me be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.